Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. So excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Occasionally, not so geeky ones too. And I also like to mix things up once in a while by not reviewing anything. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents The Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they can please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. And Smash Trivia has a Patreon too, so please check that out. We have some fantastic extra content on there. I bet you'll have a Hulk smashing good time. The tiers are as follows: $1 a month is Hulkaholic for $1, $3 a month is the Reading Room with Hulky and Shulky, and $5 a month is Smashing the TV. I also now offer custom trivia games on Fiverr, so if you want to take your game night to the next level, you can hire me. A link to the Fiverr is in the episode description. The Gamma Analysis is also a part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Now that we have all that important stuff out of the way, let's smash right into this episode.
Hi there, my name is Chris. I'm the host of the Cult Film Companion Podcast. We are the home of movies that are off, under, and ahead of the cinematic radar. I'm a firm believer that a cult movie can come from any time period, any director, any movie studio, and covers a wide variety of genres, often within one single movie. It's all about the legacy that these movies have built up over time. Tune into the Cult Film Companion, and remember to keep it cold, but don't drink the Kool-Aid, because it'll make you sick. Or kill you. Take care.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Today I'm joined by my co-host Keith. How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, John. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And we also got Mad Trivia John of the Mad Trivia Podcast. That's a podcast where you do Mad Libs and some trivia. How are you doing, John?
I am faced with the bold choice of having to keep this face or replace it with somebody else's.
And then finally, we have Whitney, of the Going Merry podcast, a podcast all about One Piece. Ace, how are you doing, Whitney?
I'm feeling peachy, guys. How are you all?
God.
So many callbacks.
Oh man, I'm doing good. Let's get into.
Keith, you're muted.
So we're reviewing today Face Off, a action sort of comedy film starring Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. As always, our Hulkaholic for $1. We have Derek Sager, Gabriel Floro, Film Critter, and Stephen W. All right, let's get into this. I had a lot of fun with this film. When I was very surprised at the beginning of the film when they actually I almost killed off Nicolas Cage's character. I was like, wait, already?
Yeah, what a misdirection.
I had honestly no idea what to expect going into this film.
You didn't know the premise?
I not really. All I knew was that it's called Face Off. It has those two actors, and I think that it was going to be something about them changing faces somehow, or just simply the film being like. I actually was thinking possibly like they're supposed to be similar enough actors that they're like able to make people think they're each other without having faces change, but obviously that wasn't the case, and obviously as I've mentioned to you guys before, the one scene that I knew of from the film was at the beginning when he's in the priest robes grabbing that lady's ass.
Wow. Hell of a scene.
I mean, if you don't know this movie, you could just as easily assume it is those two facing off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's true.
I was just shocked that you hadn't seen this, John, because you're probably one of the
Oh.
biggest Nick Cage fans that I know.
Yeah,
And this was a
there's-
staple in my childhood.
there are a lot of
Certainly is.
Nicolas Cage films I sadly have not seen yet. I still want to watch. One of them being one that Keith he's recorded himself watching it like 2 years ago. He still hasn't released it, but in Color Out of Space, it's
Oh, man.
the, I this film I remember trying to watch it like on TV once or something as a kid, but my parents it's told me no immediately because of that scene of him wearing the priest robes. They were immediately like, "We're turning this off because as
Oh,
I
yeah.
was born into a Catholic family."
That's
Mm.
inappropriate.
His
Well, I
face
mean,
was
I-
inappropriate.
Personally, I was born into an atheist family, and they still didn't want me watching this shit. They were like, "This is the type of movie when it came out, 1997. I would have been 10 years old, and it's one of those movies I'd have to go to my friend's house whose parents just weren't ever there, so we'd watch anything we could get our hands on. So we found a VHS of this and went to town. But
That's
yeah,
exactly the same. Like I was 10 as well. I was born in 87 and I have no idea. Like I wouldn't say my parents were super relaxed, but they weren't very strict either because I loved watching things like this and like Air Force One. Like what kind of 10-year-old little girl loves to watch these action like old man movies? God, I love it so much, but I forgot a lot of the plot points. Surprisingly, when I rewatched this, I was like, "Oh yeah." Like the whole end of this movie, I had no recollection of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
One thing, since we were speaking of the hit the scene of him and the priest curlers at the beginning, I like how there's the parallel of there's that at the beginning, and then the final fight in the film takes place in a church. I thought
Mhm.
that was a cool parallel.
There's
And he
a
comes
ton
in
of
there,
religious symbolism in this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
I love that he just marches into the church at that end point and just basically spells out what a movie like this is about, good versus evil and all that. It just has a little
Yeah.
monologue about it. It's like, yeah.
Uh,
This is like this is the Freaky Friday I wanted as a
Oh,
kid. I was like,
absolutely.
this is what I want to see. And it doesn't need to be a fortune cookie or a curse or Jamie Lee Curtis, even as much as I love her. But yeah, something like this. Rated R, insanity, elevated to a level that should not work, but somehow does.
you,
Yeah.
Worked in
you mean
'97.
you mean like how it shouldn't make sense that they would leave this guy not without handcuffs to his hospital bed and just in case he comes out of a coma?
With no
Yeah.
one watching him whatsoever.
Yeah. It was just sheer hope that comas were like a longer thing than a day. Yeah.
I just like to think it was his like psychopathy that just brought him straight
Mm.
out of that coma because like the guy's walking around with his face torn off, just smoking a cigarette, you know, like patiently waiting.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
My
he sat up
wife
like
kept-
the Undertaker.
Yeah.
My wife kept wondering if they were going to show his face fully with no skin on it, and they do from the side, and then they do in reflections, but nothing
Mhm.
very clear. And in the
I-
reflection, it looks even worse than from the side. I think it looked like a guy with jelly on his face or something. It was so silly.
I wish that they did show his face as fully and clearly and like maybe like have like part of like at the end of the film like having like a sequence where he pulled off his face and he's just like has no face for like 10 minutes. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be
But
crazy.
that was where a time when implied like a movie of this, I wouldn't say level of quality, but it is an R-rated movie that they wanted people to go be able to see in the theaters. It had a lot of violence, but somehow showing that really detailed would be going a little too far. And I found that very funny to me for 1997 when
Yeah.
much later it's like, oh yeah, that'd be no problem. Show it
Oh, yeah.
because
Mhm.
who cares?
Because
Rated
you
R, you
can
got the R
nowadays,
rating.
so
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But I was
Oh,
also surprised at the violence in this. I totally forgot until that woman FBI agent gets shot and thrown off the plane and just goes under the wheels and bouncing. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh damn! I forgot how
It was
fucking
brutal.
was.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Like my neighbors, like I've got my windows open because it's kind of warm, and I'm sure my neighbors think something terrible is happening at my house because it's just like rapid gunfire for 2 hours.
man.
You know,
And those bullets, let me tell you, they didn't make any sense from at least like the sound perspective. Like I feel like they were getting shot out of a shotgun at 9mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
I noticed that
Yeah.
too. It was like something you don't like, especially after watching so much John Wick lately and how realistic the gun stuff in those movies are and how it's going to sound a little more accurate. This movie sounded like it was in some kind of cartoon. These weird like, like what are those? What are
Did you
we?
notice the guns at the end that were like legit CG?
No.
No.
Oh wait,
Every-
like
every
the
gun in the
bullets
last
coming out of the
fight-
barrel and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh,
close-ups. Yeah, I saw. I
So
remember
bad.
I thought you meant the actual gun, and they just had to like pretend with their fingers while they were shooting.
Yeah, they use little dots on their fingers.
that. That's something they do
Oh,
now. They'd be like, "Oh,
I
we
mean-
couldn't afford guns. We couldn't afford costumes. Oh, okay, just put all the Avengers in this outfit and CG and pay like 9 million for it. It's fine."
I mean,
Did
to
you
be
guys
honest,
Did you guys hear the Wilhelm? Is that what it's called? The Wilhelm
Yeah.
scream?
Probably at least.
I don't
Oh, yeah.
think that one was actually a Wilhelm scream. I think that one was different.
Oh, I thought it was. I read on IMDb.
I thought it
because
was
I heard
Wilhelm.
it.
Scream.
My
Yeah.
wife actually
It was
knew
similar.
of. She might have been fucking with me, but she like I was saying how there's other screams out there like canned screams that are used a lot in films. And she was like, "Oh, like I don't know." She said like the Rover scream. I'm like, what? The what? And I was like, "Is it this one?" And then I tried to do my impression. I was like, "I know that one. I've heard that in a billion things. It's usually people on fire screaming in an
Oh.
explosion." I was like, I don't think I heard a Wilhelm, but we probably did. I don't know.
Oh.
It's like 1,000 screams in that movie.
Yeah. And everything that exploded sounded like fireworks going off.
They ran into fireworks factories or something like that.
Right?
Plane at the beginning just drives. I was like, where are they? Did they cross over into a depot that I wasn't aware of?
Yep, the
Yeah.
speedboat crashed into a firework factory.
One thing I found really interesting is like even though Castor Troy is is quite the fucked up person, arson he might even be a pedophile. He seemed to be a better father and husband than Sean actually was. Like I was so surprised when he was like, "I'm gonna actually help my fake daughter to not get raped." Like I was really surprised when that happened.
It's complicated because you can see the struggle. And it was funny because I was watching it. My wife was half paying attention, and I fully expected that. I was like, "Look, you don't have to like this or watch this with me. It's fine." But she sort of got sucked into it, and she was watching Castor Troy in Sean Archer's face interacting with the daughter and the wife on the first day. And she was like, "Oh, maybe this is for the best, bring some spice into the marriage and I was just like, it's been 10 minutes, like give him a while." Like he eventually gives up this facade of being like, "I'm gonna be a better Sean Archer than Sean Archer," and then it's like, "Oh yeah, I don't actually care about your family at all." So it's like it's a balance of I want to kick the shit out of this guy, I don't want this teenage girl to get raped, but I have no interest in sticking around as a good guy or a father. Like he's just like
And
he's
I
got
kinda-
limits.
I don't know, like, because at first when he helps the daughter, when he helps Jamie, I almost was like, oh, that's really nice of him. But then you realize that he's being kind of creepy with Jamie, and because earlier in the movie
Yeah.
he's like, "How's your daughter? Has she ripened yet?" Which is like the
Ugh.
grossest thing you could ever say about a child. But like,
Oh
um, it almost to me, it was less of a I want to help her and keep her from being assaulted, but I'm going to, or she belongs to me. Like you don't get to do
possessive.
that to her because I have plans, which is even worse and gross. And I think it would fit with his character.
Yeah, I can see
100%.
that. Now back in the 90s, is I feel like it was a lot more common for or like teenage characters to be played by older people than and actually being a teenage. I was surprised that they actually had a 16-year-old old actress
Wow.
playing Jamie in this, which honestly, this is one film where I feel like they should have had an older actress just so that it's not just so that this underage girl doesn't have to experience all that weirdness on set.
It's fair. Yeah, I did not know
didn't
she
even
was
realize
actually
how old she
16.
was. Yeah, me either. Me either.
I mean, this movie also had a lot of creepy shit. Like
Oh yeah.
Suck My Tongue Fucking gross.
Right?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, they
And
really
Nicolas
have to
Cage's son was all
establish him
veiny
being
and
the
gross.
worst.
But, you know, one thing I was very surprised by that start of the film. Nicolas Cage does the same accent this as Castor Troy as he did in Vampire's Kiss, and also a little bit as Dracula in Renfield.
Mhm.
It was very surprising that I hear this character is very different from those characters as having that same accent.
It
Mhm.
might even be his actual accent. I have no idea. But
was gonna say, have you ever
He
seen
definitely
Con Air?
doesn't sound like that in most films, though.
Oh,
Have you seen Con Air?
I have not seen
yeah.
Con Air.
It's like the Southern drawl is drawn down to hell.
And same as Raising Arizona. Like he does a lot of he's got a lot where he's playing the southern character.
Put the
I
bunny
do
back
I
in the
do love that.
box.
I love that both John Travolta and Nicolas Cage make the most sense to like this whole movie feels like watching something like that was just made with nostalgia. Maybe it's just the time I watched it as a kid, but these two guys both take acting seriously enough to look into how to sound and act like the other
Oh,
guy,
yeah. They
but not seriously enough to turn down this movie.
so
So they clearly have the right amount of camp in their career or their wheelhouse to do something.
I actually read something about that. So apparently, before filming the film, the two of them hung out for like a couple weeks to get so that they would really get down exactly how the other acts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw an
Yeah, you
interview
can
recently where
tell.
Travolta was saying, like, if you want to learn how to talk like me or sound like me, you should watch some of my movies where I'm a little bit more like myself, like Phenomenon, Michael, and I think he said, oh, what was the third one? Look Who's Talking. So he like
Oh,
told
Jesus.
Nicolas Cage to
God.
watch a couple movies where he's like, that's probably the most where I'm like me. Don't watch Saturday Night Fever. Don't watch Grease. Like, don't watch my
I
early
love
things.
Michael. Have you
Don't
guys
watch
seen that movie?
Hairspray.
Yeah.
Michael's great.
Michael's a
I
great
love
person.
it.
Speaking of John Travolta, this bit into something I actually wanted to talk about during this review. I think and it's an interesting point, especially with the writer's strike that's going on right now. The how John Travolta is an actor who's both in some of the films that are considered the greatest of all time, like this film, like Pulp Fiction, even though I kind of hate Pulp Fiction, and
What?
and
Sorry.
No. Oh no.
but
Shots
like
fired.
he is in some of the greatest films of all time. I'm by most people's count, but he's also in some of the absolute worst films of all time. He has like 7 films that have 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh God.
That's
Zero?
yeah,
0.
0%.
I need
Not
to
a
know these.
single reviewer liked them. And that really it tells me, like, even if you have a good actor be a part of your thing, what really matters to get yourself a good film is you got to have good writers. And that's why
Yep.
I support the writers in this writer's strike. They are what makes good films, not just the us having good actors. An actor can only elevate a script if so much.
Yeah, an actor is more the color of paint on a canvas rather than the artist behind the paintbrush. Yeah, there is way more going on to make the actor have good choices in their career. There's the agent involved, the scripts, the directors, there's the editing. Like if none of those things are serving the actor, then the actor's going to get left out in the cold.
Oh yeah.
And both, I would say, I don't know if I would love to see like a list of the bottom John Travolta movies versus the bottom Nicolas Cage movies, because the two of them are fairly even keel as far as I'm concerned. But one decided to be consistently crazy all of his life, and John Travolta decided to be crazy in the latter half. So it's like, oh man.
Though there are actually a few films that from like the 90s and 80s with John Travolta that are 0% too. It's not just newer films from him that are 0%.
Fair.
I'm looking at them right now. I mean, some of these are actually really surprising. He has a lot of flops.
Like
according to Rotten
one of the
Tomatoes.
most infamous ones is Battlefield Earth.
The Scientology metaphor.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was literally. I'm pretty sure it was
uh,
literally the Church of Scientology that had to make it. Again, I think it's
Yep.
supposed to be like their Bible of sorts.
I've
Is
never
this how
heard
we're
of
gonna
this.
get him? Battlefield.
You've never
Earth?
heard of
It's the
Battlefield
one where he
Earth? I
has
think everyone has.
dreadlocks and contacts
Oh,
in his
yeah.
eyes. It's very scary. Very scary.
Gotti has a 0% rating.
Mm.
Gandhi?
Oh,
Gotti,
yeah.
where he played
Oh,
John
I
Gotti
was like,
Sr.
are you sure?
oh,
It doesn't sound
I-
right.
I just love that, John, that you said that his best movies, his greatest of all time movies, are this and Pulp Fiction. But I hate Pulp Fiction. I want to get back to that for a second. First of all, this is not one of the greatest movies of all time. This is a great.
This is among some of the greatest films of all time. It has like a high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it has
92%.
like
I saw that. Too.
it's and it's I'm pretty sure a lot of people it's their favorite film.
Yeah.
I don't know about favorite, but it's
definitely
one of those
a-
ones that I remember.
I remember it as a cult classic. Like that's for sure the category I would put it in, and that doesn't mean it's a bad movie for sure. But it's so good for so many of the wrong reasons. That I always have fun watching it for sure. But I also always just assume that I'm insane for having so much fun watching it. So
It's not an
maybe I am.
assumption.
All right.
Yeah, you're probably not.
Claimed.
Hey, nobody probably worries as much about you as my mom worries about me for how much I laugh at the violence in films like Renfield, and Cocaine Bear. Like my mom
Cocaine
thinks
Bear's delivered.
mom thinks I am crazy for laughing at the bloodshed in these films. She thinks I'm morbid.
As long as she doesn't think you're Morbius. That's fun.
God.
Or morbidly obese.
Mm.
That's my role. Can I just call really quickly to the point that John Travolta's 90s characters are all pretty much the damn same? Like, he was exactly the same person in Broken Arrow that he was in this movie.
True. Yeah, he is.
I haven't seen
It's
that
funny
one.
because he could play.
I have not
and that's
seen
another
that
John Woo
one
movie,
either.
isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember seeing that name when
It's
I was
him and
reading.
Christian Slater.
Yep.
When
So I bet
Christian
there's a
Slater
lot of
was a
doves
prison.
in that too.
I think there might actually be doves in that movie. Yeah.
I think that's
I
like
know that-
considered one of his staples, like the directorial staples. Like Sam Raimi has the eye shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
doves.
Tarantino's? Is it feet?
Feet. It's feet.
It's feet
Yeah, it's
and
feet.
incredibly offensive dialogue.
Of course, it's
Particularly racist by the race that is
Damn it,
usually
you-
seen as racist by.
What the feet fetish thing was gonna be one of my questions for Keith on Wednesday. Damn
Oh,
Oh, no.
the answer is yes. He does have a feet fetish. Is that what the question was?
The question was gonna be what particular body part are people started making a
Oh,
joke of him
goodness.
having a fetish for because of how many times it's in his films.
I got
it's
another
not a
question
joke.
for you. You should ask me on Wednesday. Can I name all the actresses whose feet are featured in his movies? Because I won't look it up. I won't look it up.
That
I
sounds
bet I could probably
terrifying.
do it. I bet
I
I can
only
do
know
it based
one.
on who's in them. Yes, of
only know
course. The one, the golden foot, the golden arch.
The golden arch.
Oh God.
The Margot Robbie.
That was
No, the other
a
one.
terrible joke.
The Uma Thurman.
Oh well, yeah, duh.
She's like three of them.
Duh,
Three
you
movies with her
idiot.
feet. Yeah, you idiot.
Can I be a nerd for a minute?
Okay.
Welcome to the club.
So I love mythology. And I'm sure you guys noticed that the Castor Troy has a brother in this movie who is kind of like his, partner in crime, and his name is Pollux. And so Castor and Pollux are from Greek mythology. They were twin brothers, but they had different dads. I can't remember which is which, but one of them has a human dad, and the other one is the son of Zeus. And because Zeus was a
shit.
terrible a terrible, not person, but entity. He
Yeah.
raped the mother like he did to a lot of women in mythology. And anyway, so they were twins, and they are the Gemini, which is the zodiac,
Oh
sign, the
wow.
constellation. And
Yeah.
I was reading, facts about this movie, and Sagittarius, which is the archer, is directly opposite Gemini in the sky. Sean Archer,
Oh
Castor Troy.
shit.
I just thought that was the
Right.
coolest thing I've ever read about a movie.
That
And it
is
was
that is
based on,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, one thing also I kind of find interesting about that is there's actually been announced that there's going to be a Face Off sequel that's coming out, and it's apparently going to heavily be about Sean and Castor's kids. It's Sean is now taking care of, which I kind of find interesting because of you mentioning like how within in Greek mythology that those were twins from different parents.
I don't think that works.
I'm
Unless
so
they're trying to
disappointed.
prove that genetics
think-
are superior to how you're raised.
Nature versus nurture.
I just thought that was kind of an interesting point. The honest, I don't know how how a sequel to this is gonna work. Though to be honest, I would not be surprised if somehow Castor is alive again.
Do they
That would
have
be nice. He wouldn't have a
any
face though.
casting? Yeah, true.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Remake,
Yeah, true.
remake.
No, no remakes of this.
No, I
We
don't want a
need
remake.
someone to do this.
No, we definitely did have both John Travolta and Nicolas Cage come back for this.
I need all of Nicolas
they are
Cage's
now.
weird, creepy noises that he makes, like when he's on the phone and he figures out his face is gone and he's like wheezing, screaming.
Yeah.
At the same time, and yeah, I can't.
Yeah, he's going
Yeah.
crazy.
It is so
He's
creepy.
the perfect amount of crazy in this movie. And it's if you're looking for examples of Nicolas Cage is nuts. Have you not seen him act? Like this is one of them. This is one I would direct people toward for sure.
100%.
Before he started to get super
Yeah.
artsy with things like Matchstick Men and adaptation, he was doing action movies constantly in the 90s. The Rock, Con Air, but this is by far the nuttiest.
I was honestly when they first did the face transplant, and I was honestly worried that that for the rest of the film we weren't gonna get any crazy Cage because it was supposed to be like how Sean acts and not how Castor acts. But I think there's there was still enough since he was trying to act like how Castor acts. So I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed how John Travolta trying to be Crazy Cage.
Oh, he did so. I was really impressed by both of them, and there were moments when even the subtle type of acting that Nicolas Cage would have had to do as his best impression of John Travolta, I was impressed by it because I could really hear them talking and imagine, oh, would the other guy sound like this when you know what? Yeah. And you wouldn't expect John Travolta to have like a super characterized way of talking, but he blinks a lot and he speaks very softly and he's got this. It was a good impression. Obviously Nicolas Cage impressions are way more popular, but yeah, I was surprised by both of them being so believable and such a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Some scenes I particularly found like funny. One I really enjoyed right after the faces transferred and Sean's just like fuck you.
I was gonna say you were worried about Nicolas Cage not getting to act crazy because now he's John Travolta and he's a level-headed guy, but John Travolta's character lost his son the year earlier, I think, and not only that,
it was 6 years later.
Oh, was it 6 years? Wow. Jeez, I thought it was like way more immediate.
I also thought it was here. I guess I missed that too.
He's had 6 years to stew. He's become completely obsessed at work. He's being a total asshole to all his coworkers and has been for 6 years apparently. But also he's now wearing the face of the guy who murdered his son, so he gets to go a little crazy. And so that's the perfect person to get to act those parts.
The drugs
yeah.
in the water, that was a great example of him doing not himself, but himself.
Oh, another moment I found really funny. It's a really small moment, but when he's like, my face itches, and then you see the other guy just as scratching his face. It's like his face is just so floppy. I loved how floppy his face was.
We were so moved by that moment where the one guy on his team that knew that he had done this switch was willing to like massage his face a little bit because he was in handcuffs. And I was like, that's so nice. This guy's like, bros for life. And then he gets killed. Tito.
Or at least for 5 more minutes.
Yeah. R.I.P. Tito.
One thing I will say I kind of don't really like about the film is how I find it weird them they're basically like by the end of the film Sean's like basically like I'm gonna replace my son that died with Castor's son. Like you don't replace your son. That's a weird thing to do.
I mean,
like a real Thor Love and Thunder
kid
moment.
that looks a lot like my own kid.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same actor playing him.
Same
he
bowl cut.
promised his mom though. She was like, "Don't let him turn out to be like us." And I mean, I don't know. But you're probably right. He's trying to fill some kind of empty hole, which is probably not very healthy to just replace a kid with another kid. But
it's the same reason I don't like replacing dogs after or a dog passes away. I find that to be kind of fucked up in my opinion to do. Like you're basically like my dog died. Let's just get a new one now. It's great.
There needs to be a time or a period of mourning for sure before you do something like that. We had a cat pass away and kind of got one right away afterwards, thinking that it would fill something, and it really wasn't. It didn't work right away, and so the bond that you get with a new pet just didn't happen for a while, and I felt bad afterwards. But we obviously are head over heels for it now. But I mean, he just needed a new kid to do this to, and just run his fingers down.
Oh God!
Because he needs 4 people in his life or 3 people in his life that he can do that with.
I have to really quickly interject to go back to the whole sequel thing. I have now come up with the title of the sequel: Face Offspring.
Oh God!
With Bill Skarsgård.
Perfect.
And Alexander.
Ooh, I watched that movie.
Stellan Skarsgård's like, no, my boys.
I'm thinking. My idea, since I want both Nicolas Cage and John Travolta to return, the bald and the faceless.
Oh.
Making a joke on the bold and the restless is like
I got
soap opera.
I so got it. I think that would be a great soap opera, not a great action movie, a great soap opera.
They're just sitting on a porch together. Do you miss your hair? Yeah, I do. That's it.
That was wonderful, Keith.
Thank you. That was my best John Travolta.
And do you miss your face?
Yeah. I
miss your face. It's been so long.
I don't have it back for like 5 minutes.
It was big. At the end of the film, what was the point of Castor trying to cut his face off? That he could still.
He was trying to ruin the face.
He was trying to ruin it. He's like, you think you're going to get your face back? Well, I'm just going to destroy it like I've destroyed everything else in your life.
Yeah, you're always going to remember me when you see these cut marks. And it's like, oh, we've got the best surgeons in DC. Don't worry. We can.
And he has no scars at the end. He's perfect.
He does. Beautiful. I wanted to say that just reminded me of the fact that we've all seen Guardians 3 now, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, don't listen to this next 10 seconds. He was trying to rocket raccoon his face for the sake of...
No.
Very true. Very true. He was wearing a mask the whole time.
That was a really good rocket.
Thank you.
I was gonna save this for Wednesday when we record or the Guardians one, but I really while watching it, all of when they took the mask off of High Evolutionary, all I could think just because this is a James Gunn production, is in the live action Scooby Doo films. Scooby saying, "It's a man in a mask."
Yeah.
Now let's see who the villain really is.
I mean, they did do that. Whether it was an intentional callback or not, I don't know. But that
The
was
movie
fun.
knew that we were about to cover Face Off, so it appeased to our needs.
Yeah, there was a lot of face-off jokes.
Yeah, they said face off a lot.
And one particular scene.
Sure, the guy, the
I wanna take
bald
his
guy
face.
in like I love that the way, and I love it in a very efficient script. So the way that Sean Archer, and I did not remember that they took that long to switch faces when watching this. I was like, I thought it happened way sooner. There's so much more Sean Archer with his family than I expected. So much more Sean Archer with these bad guys, and introducing the bad guys through him interrogating them was brilliant. I was like, that's efficient storytelling because you get to know all these guys that he's going to then have to know everything about them, know the relationships with Castor, and make them believe him that he's what we were saying when we were watching it. Go ahead.
Speaking of the bald guy, that was supposed to be the brother of the mother of Castor's
I know where you're
son.
going with this, John.
Was it?
I know where you're going.
That's what they said.
They were brother and sister.
Why the fuck did they kiss right before he
Yes.
died?
Why did they
Voight,
kiss
Angelina
like
Jolie.
that?
That was
It was
weird.
Angelina Jolie.
Because incest and bad guys go hand in hand. That's why.
Incest is the best, as they would say.
Ew.
No, Angelina Jolie and John Voight kissed. Their father and daughter. So I think
Kissed
brother
in
and
what?
sister. In real life, on the red carpet.
Oh, what do you mean?
You didn't
How
know that?
much? I'm looking this up.
They face kissed.
Reminds me of
lip
how Morgan Freeman had a relationship with his niece.
What?
Yeah.
What?
None of you have heard about that? He had a relationship with his niece.
Are we just ruining
mind is
every
fucking blown.
actor that I hold in high regard?
Keith, your walls are red all of a sudden.
Oh, man.
Terrifying.
Not Morgan.
No, listen,
God.
it's hard for anyone to not kiss Angelina Jolie on the lips, the size of them. So I can understand her situation. Her lips are about like that big.
Okay,
the
nobody
guy
is going to know what you were referring to just then because they can't see you. So
he put his fingers up to the
we should,
to
yeah,
the
we
camera.
should be clear
It was
about
for you
what
guys.
that is.
The guy who played the bald dude, his
Dietrich.
friend, was Nick Cassavetes, who directed The Notebook,
Yeah,
which I
What?
think is really funny.
yeah.
Dietrich was the director of The Notebook?
Yeah.
That's
He
odd.
directed The Notebook. He directed quite a few things. He's a director. I liked his performance in this, even though he kissed his sister, which is weird. I thought he was funny.
He was the one that
and
I
I
was
love-
so bummed about the most dying.
When he was just like, no more drugs for that man. Is
Yeah, that was great.
And the fact
I
that he
really
was
enjoyed it.
shot in the neck fatally and he seems fine, like he's just yelling at his sister, like, you need to go now. And he's not like freaking out. And then it's revealed that he's not going to make it. If I was shot in the neck, I would be like kicking and screaming on the ground.
Drugs.
Oh, yeah.
I've been reaching for my duct tape.
It's drugs. It was all drugs.
But and possibly it was drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, true. What the hell did
One
he
thing-
take? I loved his little care package too. Castor Troy's little wooden box care package with the chiclets and the drugs and the golden guns. I was like, that is so 90s. The bad guy has to have golden guns. That's
I feel like those
very
pills were like Ritalin or something.
One thing before I realized that Castor was still alive, that I was thinking while watching it, and I think this could might now that I know that he was alive, this could have been too far. But I want to ask what you guys would thought of this. If not only was Castor played by Nicolas Cage, but his brother Pollux being played by Nicolas Cage as well, how would you have felt if both of them were?
like Gemini twins.
Yeah, like literally they identical twins, and I think that could have been interesting, but because of the fact that Castor's character was so alive, it wasn't necessary. Like I think it would have been cool to see like not only do you have to wear the face of the man who killed your son, but you also have to see that face as you're trying to get information out of this guy.
See, I think I would have hated it for the same reason that you find it interesting. He would have had especially, and I'm not saying it to be derogatory towards you. My point is, he would have had to figure out which one of them was actually the person that killed his kid, which would have been absolutely mind numbing for him. And then if for some reason they got the wrong one, he would have drove himself crazy knowing that he was the brother looking exactly like the person who killed his kid. And it would have been, I think, that much more torturous on him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of already playing with two characters that get to act like Castor, two actors anyways, and the idea of playing with like the identity angle of this movie would have been an extra layer too many if you made
That's what
Cage in another
that's
role.
why
I also just like how ridiculous that other actor was. Pollux. I really enjoyed
really
how
was a
stupid
Pollux
he
painting.
But
I like the actor that played
I think
Pollux. I
I
thought that he
think-
had like a really interesting way of talking. Like he was very calculating and quiet. You could tell that he was watching,
Oh
and every
I
gear in his
guess
head was
he-
turning in the prison because he
It'll
was just
just
really
have to be this
suspicious.
building.
Yes,
I-
like, I love that.
I did
love
enjoy him a lot, but the whole time I could all I could see with the look of the character was this guy looks like Walmart Seth Green.
I was more thinking Wish Nicolas Cage.
See, I think Seth Green looks like Walmart Seth Green. So I don't know.
Wishless Cage, if you will.
Wishless
Oh,
Cage.
God.
Wishless Cage. There you go. You order it and you're like, where's the rest? Yeah, for sure.
Or
And it's the same guy
more-
from
more
Jurassic
accurately,
Park 3.
What the hell did I just get?
That actor has grown, and it's nice seeing, like, I've watched too many movies in my life. I'm sure we could all feel like that a little bit sometimes. But when you see so many movies over several decades, and you see an actor who was okay in one decade, and then 20 years later, this same actor who played Pollux was a main character in The Many Saints of Newark. The movie that came out, a prequel to the Sopranos show. He was so fucking good in Many Saints of Newark, but in Face Off, he's okay. I don't know how many gigs he's had before that movie, but he was all right. It's clearly, not the main character or anything, but it's nice to see these actors grow over time.
I think he was an important piece of the story, especially when he passes away and you see for the first time, because even, Castor wasn't bothered by, his baby mama, who even knows if he knew that was his kid, because she
He didn't.
tells fake Castor like he maybe didn't know. So and
Yeah.
he points his gun at the kid. Did you guys notice, like, when they're in the building and
He didn't know. He very, very,
there's
very
no
specifically
way.
said he didn't know.
And I'm like, he's trying to kill another kid, and he ends up shooting the brother. But it's kind of the first time you see him being upset and hurt over what's going on between him and Archer. Because the cop walks in and he's like, why are you upset? It's just Pollux Troy. And he just shoots him in the head as a cop shooting another cop. So he's just totally given up any appearances at that point.
But he also didn't have anybody else around.
Doesn't he say to Archer's family, "You're the only family I have left"? Like in a scene after discovering the death of his brother, he's like, "You're the only family I have left." And I turned to my wife, was just like, "Oh yeah, he means
That's
that." Like he's
good
genuinely
point.
fucked up.
I never thought of that before, but that is so gross.
It is
so accurate. Wow.
Would you guys like to hear some of the other pairs of actors that they thought about using for this film?
I only know one, and it was the big one that it was, I guess, written for, was Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Oh
which
yeah,
I don't think would have
just
worked as
preface
well.
this before
Really
you
would
go
not have
into
worked
this
as well.
list.
I'm really
I did-
glad it wasn't that.
Yeah,
I did
same.
put together some trivia questions. I thought about
okay.
using this one. That wasn't on the list. So I know these. I'm gonna back out.
You're gonna
'cause
sit
I
out?
do
Well, I'm not
Very
even trying to like ask questions. I just want to tell you guys because I
It's
find these all
interesting.
As Keith said, at Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, and then Michael Douglas and Harrison Ford, which I maybe
Okay.
I
Okay.
see them having the
Um,
talent to do it, like act like each other.
I
I
think-
don't see them being as entertaining though.
No.
Yeah,
One,
they're both
one,
very surly men.
Yeah,
One
it's too easy almost. Yeah.
one that I think would have been a very weird one because I think they look very different from each other is Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin.
Huh.
Oh.
And then finally, a Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Al Pacino, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That
Though
one would be easy,
I
probably.
feel like
They act the exact same.
Yeah.
I feel like Al Pacino is shorter than Robert De Niro, so
By like a
so
foot and a half.
so that so I feel like that
Yeah,
would be a
well-
little bit harder to actually convince people you're the right person.
We're going to remove a part of your shins. No, you're going to have to learn to walk exactly like Castor Hua Troy. It's so weird. That would be the weird. Like, not only could Schwarzenegger and Stallone, I don't think could act
Never.
like each other. I don't think
Never.
they can sound. They sound so distinctly like two. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a movie where they don't sound like themselves.
You think you're the
They are
law,
not
aren't you?
chameleons.
I am the law.
So to be honest, I am kind of surprised that it took till till Expendables for them to work together on a film
They
because I
hated each
don't
other.
think they worked together on anything before that.
They hated each other.
Just a restaurant franchise.
They were probably competition, but I'm just
Yeah.
imagining them trying to do each other's accents because they both
Yeah.
have pretty heavy accents, and I think it would be a mess. I don't like
Tito!
it.
Oh, yeah.
The 10
Tito!
seconds in the first Expendables movie, the 10 seconds that they spend on screen together, they're just ribbing each other, and I love it. But
Oh, yeah.
to see them play the other, they don't have the skills to do that. The only people on that
Yeah.
list I think have the skills to truly do that would be
I feel like
probably Harrison Ford and Michael Douglas, but maybe more so on Michael Douglas's favor. Harrison Ford, I think, is not the chameleon that Michael Douglas could be.
Yeah, honest, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger would be better suited doing something like this with Lou Ferrigno.
I think he'd be better doing a silent role.
like Terminator 1. We don't need that many lines. It's
I'll be
okay.
back.
Yeah. Give me a close.
All right, let's
No German.
before we wrap this up, let's go. Let's let John give us his trivia questions.
These ones are all in the movie stuff, so you don't have to worry about
Okay.
me doing my behind the scenes thing.
Okay.
But let's go with one of the first things you should have seen in the movie. What is Michael's birthday?
Fuck.
October
10th.
I was wanting to say October as well, but I don't know why.
October is
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say October 11th.
Okay, does anyone
Price
have
is
a
Right
year?
rules?
15th.
So far,
How
Whitney's
about
the
it?
closest, but what about the year?
A year? Okay,
Oh,
so
1986.
Okay, very good,
If
but
it
not
was
the
meant-
date.
it was
I don't know.
1986? Okay, I
It
gotta say
was October
1986.
86.
I do remember
Oh,
that
so-
because that's the year my husband was born.
Damn.
So it was
I'll
October
say-
19th. Sorry, John, I didn't
Okay.
realize you were going to guess.
No, that's all right.
So
Nice.
the way that you figure that out, besides the grave, is the fact that he used 10/19/86 as his lock or his security password.
Damn.
Oh yeah,
Now-
there's a code. The code,
yep.
right?
Now, do you know what day he died?
Like day of the week.
No, like the date of his death.
Oh, we did his
also shown
birthday.
on the
I'm like,
grave.
did you just ask that?
No, the day he died was also shown on the grave.
I'll say like a 1990, 90, and then and like since I have no idea what the date was, I'll just say a 420.
I'm gonna say October 20th, 1991.
And do you have a guess?
May 6th, 1991.
91 is correct, but he didn't
Yes.
make 5 years old. So it was not October. It wasn't May, though. It was September 24th, 1991.
Okay.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Damn.
Did you guys happen to catch who plays Carl, the guy who tries to rape Jamie?
Yes. Danny Masterson.
Oh,
Yes, it was
Really?
Danny
Hyde from that
Masterson,
70s show. Yeah.
prefacing his career.
oh my God,
Not
that is wild.
Not surprised that I didn't get that because I've never seen that 70s show.
I
You
turned
are
to my
slapped.
wife and I said the same thing to my wife when I saw him on screen and then I saw him like making the moves on the daughter. I was like, oh shit, he's just He's just practicing for the future. What the fuck?
We have 2
Foreshadowing.
Scientologists in this movie.
Also, fun fact: he was 21 in this movie in real life.
Ew.
Which means he was
fake making out with her.
Yep.
Faking out.
This poor
Ugh.
girl.
God,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm glad he kicked his ass. I'm glad that
yeah.
Like
sexual assaultist.
I really do feel bad for that girl being on this film. Like, and that's
Not just her. No, Winters, the chick that fucking had to stick her face on Nick Cage's tongue.
Oh yeah.
At least the girl got a cool butterfly knife out of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Can I interrupt really quick? Because, and I know we're doing trivia, but that as a kid and still to this day is my favorite scene of this entire movie because it's such a good payoff. And I am not a huge fan of like the slow-mo that they use every now and then in this movie. It's kind of
every now and then.
Well,
Both
Every
now
5
and then.
minutes.
but that scene where he's got her at gunpoint and she brings that knife. I don't even know what kind of knife that is. I'm sure
Butterfly.
is it a butterfly? I wasn't sure if that
Yeah.
was right. But and she just flips it around with one hand and jabs him and twists exactly like he taught her. And I
Yep.
was like, this is who I want to be when I grow up. And I
Poetic
still love that
justice.
scene.
Oh god.
Poetic justice.
I really loved seeing the mother kick that one guy in the balls, but I didn't like how he was. She was like, I don't want you to ever do that. If there's a guy having you at gunpoint, you should want your kid to try and kick him in the balls. You should.
Agreed.
She's trying to do the right thing by him, but
Okay.
desperate times.
I'll make this one's quick. 2 more.
All right.
The name of the floating prison is called Erewhon. What is that an anagram for?
Nowhere.
Nailed it.
Sorry,
What?
I jumped ahead, but I read it. I
Wow.
knew this one.
It was that was an example of one of the things that I was like, I remembered seconds before it happened, and I had to say out loud, like he finally breaks out of the prison. I'm like, oh, is this the part where he finds out he's on a boat? And then it zooms out.
And he's like, no.
Yeah,
He's on
a boat. It sucks.
The
That's the
Lonely
thing.
Islands, I'm on a boat would have been great to play right there.
I love that
On
about
a
Nicolas
boat.
Cage. Like he has this penchant for screaming dramatically, and it's so overdone, but I love it so much because like throughout the whole movie, I think it's 2 or 3 times he screams "die."
Yes. When he kills him at the end.
Oh my god. I loved every time he just yelled, "I'm Castor fucking Troy!"
Yeah.
And the moments where he's
Troy.
screaming that in the prison and he's totally taking on the character and the role
Mhm.
that he's supposed to be playing, and he's not allowed to give any fucks about anything that he's doing. And he's just screaming, and then he just starts going a little fucking crazy and crying a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
and he's still screaming. I was like, that's even in this movie to have such a special performance is great.
You know, I honestly, this film obviously did not need a post credit scene, but if like there were or one, I think one that would have been really funny. I would be Sean actually getting to get that guard fired.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you fired. Forgot about that.
Like, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I would love to say what the hell was the name of the Russian guy that helped him escape? I would have liked to see an after credit scene of that guy waking up.
Bordov.
Yeah, he
Dordak?
plays the sheriff in
Oh, yeah.
True Blood, which I loved seeing that same actor. I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, holy
No
shit,
way.
it's the dumbass sheriff from. Well, he's not the sheriff at the beginning. He's like the deputy, but in True Blood, he's a great character. Good actor.
You just blew my mind.
And then
Wow.
and then when Nicolas Cage drops him, you hear in the background, "I dropped the sheriff."
You should have written this, John. You should have written this movie.
100%.
I might have had a little too much fun with it. There would have been a little bit more die, a lot more throwing people.
Eh.
All right.
Can I ask you guys your opinion on something? We talked a little bit
course.
earlier about how this movie has so much religious symbolism. Like, you know, we see him dressed as a priest and kind of doing some inappropriate things. We see the church scene where he comes in and there's doves and lighting the candles, and he, as John Travolta's character, starts like chanting fake Latin at him and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I love
when-
that.
when the
too.
real Castor dies at the
Mhm.
end, Did you notice the positioning of his body was almost like a crucifix? Like his arms were
No.
out and he was
Interesting.
standing. I wonder if that was on
Ah,
purpose. Did you
I
guys
most
wouldn't
notice
be
that?
definitely.
surprised if it was. Definitely
Yeah.
seems like something that within a film like this they would do. Like I
Yeah.
could honestly see any Nicolas Cage film them doing something like that.
Yeah,
It's
I
funny
just feel with
because
all of the mentions of like the good versus evil, like you said, it was so
yeah.
Yeah.
in your face that that
Well,
could be possible.
it's funny the amount of, and I know John Woo didn't write this movie, but I know him directing it. He probably had a lot of say because he was a very popular director before getting this job. Um, he likes a lot of symbolism and a lot of mythology symbolism, like you said, with the whole Gemini and Sagittarius thing.
Mhm.
In like the one Mission Impossible that John Woo directed, there's a ton of Greek mythology and symbolism, and again, doves,
Nice.
and all sorts of slow-mo diving and shooting and whatever. But he loves
Mhm.
that kind of thing to bring like a new, like a weird elevated importance to just hardcore action. It's funny how much like they
I
really love their slow-mo and their symbolism.
I
Go,
Do
Mark.
you
Go
love
ahead.
it
honestly
really? Like, do you really love the slow-mo?
I love I'm saying they
I
love
liked
it.
how slow it was.
I
I don't need
That's
it every 5 seconds.
yeah, that's
I
the only thing I was on rewatch. I was like, "Ooh, I
Yeah.
don't like that."
It's funny because I was saying to Katie that John Woo perfected the quarter turn camera motion in every shot,
Mhm.
but Michael Bay said, "I'm gonna do this better," and he does the full 360.
It
So
truly
Michael Bay
is.
just fully circles, where he's like, "John Woo can't even hold a candle to my circles." Yeah, yeah.
Come to find out, John Woo is Michael Bay's daddy.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, we're still thinking about the prison. I do have one last question.
All
Mhm.
right.
Did anyone recognize the magnetic boots?
And they're the
Because they
ones
were
from Super
used in a
I'm
Mario
different
gonna
Bros.
movie. They
I'm gonna
are from the
say
Super Mario Brothers movie.
okay.
Sorry, Keith beat you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was like,
I
I
was
read it,
gonna
but I can't remember.
I was gonna guess RoboCop.
Yep, they are the exact same boots that were used in the Mario movie.
Wow. And they just
Nice.
made like what, 1,200 more? Or
Interesting.
jeez.
I mean, I don't think they actually used more than the two pairs that you ever saw on screen. I think everybody else
Yeah,
was just
true.
wearing like funky metal Converse or some shit.
And just acting, and their feet were off screen, and they're just like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
also wearing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Just repeat the sound over and over, layered
To
upon
be honest,
layered.
I'm very surprised that they did that because I imagine no film director would ever want to make people think of that Mario movie ever again after that film came out.
I didn't hate it.
Some people love it.
I mean, and I don't
I love
hate it
it.
either, either. But it's but I think it's a film just like with Howard the Duck. Like I love Howard the Duck, but I'm able to say that yeah, that was a film that most people hated at the time. So no filmmaker would want to ever call back to that, and it would be understandable for them to not want to call back for that. And
Very
I
true.
kind of feel like the Mario live action movie is it kind of that same vein of like
Absolutely.
most people because they hated it so much, most filmmakers would never want to call back to that.
Unless you're
I
John Leguizamo.
I think that the cult classic effect takes over after a while, especially from the era that we're talking about, where it's like Howard the Duck, uh, Super Mario Bros, Roger Rabbit.
Oh,
Like
that one.
there's a
Do
ton of
not
movies
dare
that came
badmouth
out.
Roger Rabbit.
Oh, I don't. I'm saying it's loved despite how insane it can be at times. And there's like early video game adaptations in general. Mortal Kombat had an amazing but so silly movie.
Mhm.
Double Dragon had a less popular
Mhm.
one, but still insane.
That Mortal
And
Kombat
people want
soundtrack,
to.
though.
Oh my God, yes, yeah. It's just those movies come back with not only the people who grew up with them, but also just like fans of stuff outside the boundaries of the norm. And I really like those kind of movies, and I get attached to them very nostalgically. That's what I mean. Like this movie felt like it felt like a 2 hour and however many minute cliche. the whole thing, because it felt like it encapsulated everything about what we would consider action movie cliche of the 90s. And it's like, this isn't the only one that existed in the 90s. There's about a billion action movies in the 90s. This was just one of the ones that people look back on really fondly because it was just so bizarre and just some kind of lightning in a bottle magic.
Yeah, that's well.
Agreed.
Well said. I agree.
Thanks, guys.
I think we about talked about this whole film. Before we end off, I want to give you all the chance to get me say you want me to say and announce your voice. I imagine there's probably some funny quotes from this film that people might like to even say.
Man, I gotta remind myself every time I record with you that I should have like 18 quotes at the ready and then make a decision last minute. Okay. Oh, well, I think I know what I'm gonna have you say, but I think everybody else is gonna maybe say the same thing.
I'm doing some quick research.
I'm gonna send in the chat what I want you to say.
Sounds good. That's what I want people to do.
The other thing, John, I think that Smash John, not Matt John, Smash John, we got to take a tally of how many times you bring it back to Howard the Duck, because
right?
if you don't bring it up every episode, I'd be surprised, and I think you've gotta from now on. If there's it's like Emmy bringing up Iron Man 2, and now she's doing the cocaine bear scale. Like she's got something she has to do every episode. But yeah, Howard the Duck for sure. Bring it back every time.
Wow. To be honest, I'm surprised nobody wanted me to do the suck your tongue line. Honestly,
I think I want to sleep tonight.
I don't ever want you to say that to anybody ever.
Can I say one last thing before you do your quotes? And
Sure.
Nobody may really even care, but I was excited because I was watching this, and one of Castor's henchmen is played by, I think it's Tommy Flanagan.
Yes.
Who was in Sons of Anarchy. I
Guardians of
met
the
him
Galaxy?
a few years ago at a motorcycle shop in Tennessee, and he was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, if you can imagine how cool, he's cooler. Like tight jeans, button-up black dress shirt. He was wearing a fedora. He had his sunglasses
What?
on, beaded necklaces, and he's Scottish, correct? I want to say
Irish.
Scottish, not Irish. Is he Irish?
Is he Irish? Is he Scottish? I thought he
I
was
thought
Irish.
he was Scottish. I don't want to offend
Flanagan
anyone.
is
I know they are
pronounced.
not the
Neither
same
of
thing.
those
What's his name?
accents
Tommy
are
Flanagan?
Scottish accents are the hottest. Are you
Scottish
kidding
and
me?
Irish are both.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. He's Scottish. My bad.
Okay.
I thought Flanagan
And
was an Irish name. I don't know why I thought
he
he was Irish.
he called me darling. He was like, "Come over here, darling," and I was like,
Come on over
"Oh,
here for a photograph, darling.
He's got
yeah."
the
And
big
so,
scar on his face. Like he has
yes, he's
made
got
bank on
the
that character
smile.
face.
Yes. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys, super nice guy, super cool, smells amazing.
Oh, that last one, I didn't expect that.
He looks like he would smell amazing. I love that guy
Yes,
and
right?
everything he does. There's one guy who I used to get him confused with because they would both play henchmen in these kind of movies all the time before they really broke out. And like it's a cousin of Tom Cruise who played a villain on Lost named Ethan. He would always be a bad guy in these moments, and they have very similar character faces. But yeah, the other guy is definitely not Scottish, and this guy is amazing on
Mm.
Sons of Anarchy, 100%.
What a wonderful show. Highly
what the hell else
recommend
did I
to
see?
anybody if you haven't seen it. It's
You ever seen
wonderful.
Smoking Aces?
I have seen Smoking Aces, but I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
I've not
you
seen
gotta.
either Smoking Aces or Sons of Anarchy.
You
John,
gotta. Even if you don't like motorcycles, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's a
Smoking
wonderful
Aces
show.
is fucking fantastic. It's got
Every-
Ryan Reynolds in it.
yes,
Ooh.
every time we do a non-Hulk related podcast like this, we think of a movie we should review next. Smoking Aces, 100%. All four of us should.
I mean,
should
Jesus
do that.
Christ, that movie's got Ryan Reynolds. It's got Jeremy Piven.
Ray
it's
Liotta,
got Ray
Alicia
Liotta.
Keys.
I was gonna say Alicia Keys. It's got the Irish brothers. I can't remember who the hell they are, but they're
Chris
so,
Pine plays one of them.
Yep, like
Is that what you're talking
there's
about?
Just, yes, there's so
Yep.
many big
Yeah.
names, and this was like 2005, so they're all
And
still wicked youthful.
It's a really weird like movie like this. It would honestly be like, you could easily say that if it wasn't for movies like Face Off, movies like Smoking Aces wouldn't have existed. 10
Or
years
Lucky
later.
Number 11.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, just ridiculous, violent movies that are so fantasy elevated,
man.
but they're still supposed to be real.
That
Still supposed to be reality. Yeah.
What's the one with Clive Owen and the carrot? Is that Lucky Number 7?
That one's just called that was called Shootout.
It is a shootout.
Or Shoot 'em Up. No, it's called
That
Shoot 'em
Shoot 'em
Up
Up.
with him and
Okay,
Paul
that's what it is.
Giamatti.
yeah.
Yes.
Talking about this it reminds me of one of my favorite two sets of like ridiculous action films that I find hilarious. That's the Machete movies.
Yes.
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 They are
Did you know that Machete in that movie is the same Machete that is the uncle of
Yes,
the
I did.
brother and sister in the Spy Kids?
Yes. Is Robert
I
Rodriguez
watched
directed all of them?
I watched the Spy Kids movies before I watched the Machete movies. So yeah.
Uncle Machete doesn't make any goddamn sense at all.
What makes it even weirder is the fact that there's act that even though these are supposed to be prequels, I guess, as to the Spy Kids franchise, Alex
Alexa Vega.
Penna Vega appears in one of the Machete films as an adult.
Yep. Not the same character. People would never notice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I would hope people didn't think it was the same character because I cannot
She was almost
imagine.
naked in the movie.
I cannot imagine a character from Spy Kids and shooting stuff out of her tits.
Wait, she
I
had
can if you
she had machine gun jubblies.
Austin
Is that what you're
saying?
All right,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm about to say these quotes. All right, first, let's keep what I mean to say. Peach. I could eat peach for hours.
Ew.
If you dress, and Whitney wanted me to say, if you dress like Halloween, ghouls will try to get in your pants.
That's a good quote from the movie. I thought about that afterwards. I was like, that's a brilliant line.
Mine's not a quote from the movie, guys.
And finally, Matt Troy John wanted me to sing "Ain't Peaches" by Jack Black. So, this one is for my one and only true love, Princess Peach. Peach, you're so cool, and with my star, we're gonna rule. With each understand, I'm gonna love you to the very end. Peaches, 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 peaches,
Peaches.
Peaches.
Okay.
I love you.
Oh God! All right. So, is there any last thing that any of you would like to say before I end this off?
I mean, this movie made a huge impact on my childhood, for better or worse, and I'm glad we're talking about it today.
Absolutely. 100% agreed.
All right.
I definitely couldn't ever not love this movie.
Mhm.
All right. As I end this off, I want to say, everyone, please check out Mad Trivia John on the Mad Trivia podcast and Whitney on the Going Merry podcast. All right.
Thank you.
So thank you all for listening. If you like this scam analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the episode, so please let me know. And if you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more gamma analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Master John, signing off.